When you think of the Borderlands franchise, what comes to mind? If you've been a fan since the beginning of the series, you'll predominantly think about the game's looter-shooter mechanics and some of the massive beasts or psychos you've had to take down. At PAX 2025, we met with Gearbox and 2K to preview the next installment in the Borderlands franchise, Borderlands 4. During the event, we had the chance to play Borderlands 4 in two different and unique ways. In our first meeting, we got to try out Borderlands 4 on Nintendo Switch 2. At first, I was a bit hesitant to try out Borderlands 4 on Nintendo Switch 2 after Gamescom rumors and past issues that Switch had with larger third-party titles. Although visuals on Nintendo Switch 2 were not perfect, you could still experience the game almost as fully as the developers intended. Yes, there was a little bit of stutter in the gameplay, but otherwise the gameplay remained similar to the other Borderlands titles and held up fairly well compared to the PC show floor counterpart. Now, when you go in blind to any game, there's always a bit of a learning curve, especially when it's further into the game. For the demo, we were level 20 going into a vault by ourselves to face off against a vault predator. Although the demo gave you a chance to get to the vault predator, we were only able to fight against the first horde. The enemies had a wide variety of attacks, but without knowing more about them, it did take a bit of time and a few deaths to wipe them all out. Healing in the game did feel a bit off with how you have to activate your healing. In the demo, it felt like there were fewer health stims than there were in prior games. The first meeting sadly only lasted about 15 minutes, but it did give us a look at how the game would feel on the Nintendo Switch 2. If we were not playing the game on Nintendo Switch 2, our initial experience would have been better or died less. It ran well, despite a few noticeable stutters, and it was definitely better than we expected. During the gameplay demo, I kept switching the X and Y button and the A and B button when it would show button input commands. Despite the mix-up, it was still a fun experience that gave us a good idea of what we can expect from the game. With how the build played on Nintendo Switch 2, I could see it being a valid platform option if you're going for portability over perfect graphics. At the end of PAX West 2025, we were determined to try even more of Borderlands 4 with the goal of getting to the boss fight within the demo. On the show floor, guests could play the Borderlands 4 demo in a 4-player co-op session. At the initial setup, each of us could select which character we wanted to play as. Shockingly, for being paired up with two random people, we were all able to select a different character. Coming from this, we felt like a well-oiled machine versus a group of ragtag vault hunters trying to just get through the vault. The show floor demo had us using an Xbox controller and a Razer headset to hear the game's sound effects. Since voice chat wasn't enabled, we weren't able to communicate with one another on the headset. So 3 out of 4 of us removed one ear from the headset in order to be able to hear one another. This made calling out enemies and figuring out which weapon worked on each one a lot easier. What originally took me 15 minutes to complete in the first attempt at the demo took only 3 with our seasoned group. While there were some communication issues at first, we were able to quickly pick up what the other was going for. Just before the boss fight, our tank, which happened to be a Niche Gamer staff member, had to leave for another appointment, so we were down a man before the fight. Despite this handicap, we were able to take on this apex predator by juggling aggro, calling out weak spots, and reviving one another. In order to cause significant damage to the creature, we had to pull spores out of its body with our grappling hook. Once we had dealt a significant amount of damage to the predator, it climbed to the ceiling and spewed bile all over the cavern floor. At first, it seemed like there was no way to avoid it, and you just had to outlast it and revive one another through it. Instead, you can pull spores down to the ground and stand on them to avoid taking damage while shooting the boss. After a bit of damage, the boss came back down. During this whole fight, there was very few additional enemies to kill, so getting a second wind was fairly difficult. Once we defeated the predator, we were able to explore the area a bit. After getting to experience Borderlands 4 on both the Nintendo Switch 2 and a top-of-the-line PC, I can safely say that it feels like Borderlands is returning to its beloved looter-shooter form. Yes, it was nice to see it in all of its graphical glory on the PC, but the thing that I appreciated the most was getting to experience it with others rather than playing it solo. After playing it on the Switch 2, I felt like it was something I would get down the line, but after playing it on PC, it felt like a game I needed to have in order to play with my friends and get all the looter-shooter goodness. During the demo, I would have liked to hear some jokes during the downtime areas, but I believe the developers wanted to show that the game can be a serious, action-packed adventure when it's called for. Honestly, we can't wait until Borderlands 4 releases on September 12th for PC and consoles, and a bit later for Switch 2 in October.